Hey everybody, good morning. Just wanted to record a video. Had a moment or two between things. And anyway, today is May 15th, 2018. It's my day 2.05. And a couple thoughts today. It's mostly going to be about sex, okay? But not in the way that sounds, but we'll get there in a moment. I had a slight kerfunkel with my mother's birthday present / Mother's Day. She sent me a cool Mother's Day card, and I guess I just want to make a notice of it. She took a birthday card that like you would give to like a first-year-old child, and it says on the front, it says, "Happy first birthday, sweet girl." So again, it's what you normally would give like to the parents of a child that just turned 1. And the first picture on it is of a mama squirrel and a baby squirrel. And the mama squirrel is holding the baby squirrel. And it says, "A year ago, your dream came true. The baby was born." But what my mom did is she, over the squirrel, the mama squirrel, she put her name. And then over the baby squirrel, which has a cute little bow, it said, "My name, Karen." Okay. And then the next panel down on the front, it says, "A baby was born, a little girl, you, and a happy mother." Okay. And it's the picture of a mama squirrel and the baby squirrel. Okay. But in this case, she put my name over the mother squirrel and my daughter's name over the baby squirrel. Isn't that kind of cool? And then on the inside, it says, "That's why today is special and fun, because it's your birthday and Mother's Day, and now you are 1." You know, to be 1 year old, but also the way she wrote it, to be 1 as you're a mother now, etc., too. So I thought that was really kind of clever and really kind of cool, and not something that I expected. So kind of cuts me up a little bit, or it touches me up a little bit. So that made me feel really, really good. And as a postscript to, I think I made a video about Mother's Day, and it was entitled Mother's Day. You know, at no point did my daughter say Happy Mother's Day to me, and I'm not saying that as a complaint. I'm just sharing with you. It just didn't register, you know, and not that you can expect it, but you know, again, it's one of those things. But anyway, we've already dealt with that in the video. Very thankful that my daughter lives with me and everything else. So, and I have access to my daughter, etc., etc. So let's clear our minds for a moment. Talk about sex. According to my surgical notes, in about 2 days, I will be at +7 weeks. So I have 6 weeks and some days underneath me. I will be at +7 weeks. And so technically the 8th week will be next week, about 10 days from now. And according to my surgeon's notes, it's okay to begin to explore yourself, okay, get to know your new geography at 2 weeks. And then it said, you know, masturbation is kind of encouraged as you feel up to it. You know, you have the your stamina and how much your body can handle in that way, as opposed to how much pain you're going to encounter as you touch and do things, right? So two things to keep in mind as that exploration phase begins in 2nd weeks. But then it talked about, I think after 4 weeks, to expand upon that and to kind of get into that oral exploration on the outside, the external things. I guess what would be the clitoris and the labia majora and whatnot on the outside. So leave the inside alone, I think, is what I read that's what I read from it. And then up to 8 weeks is really when penetration can occur according to the notes. And so for myself, in my experience right now, I can't seem to climax. I can get close. I can get kind of hot and heavy and okay, like a bitch in heat, a panting dog. But I don't climax. I haven't yet. And I think I've only done like, let's say 3 serious attempts at this since videos a couple days ago. I haven't been like a bitch in heat, okay? But I feel that way sometimes. And as I said in a previous video, what used to be an erection, what feels somewhat like an erection, it just like makes me double over, and not necessarily in pain, but it totally locks up the vagina area. We use Squirtle here as a no Squirtles will be harmed in the video, in the making of this video. But like in this area, your tummy and the vagina down to the perineum, this area here like gets like blood rushes into it because I guess it's stimulated. And I mean, it like locks me up. I feel like I'm walking around with like my underwear's got cement in it, you know, and you're like, oh, I can't move. And then it goes away. So very different experience than the erection, which is like, you know, haha, look at what I have. Okay, let me put this away. Very, 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 very different. Very, very, very different. Same mechanism, and it feels a little bit the same, but different outcomes. And I've yet to have that release of sexual tension, energy, whatever, you know, building up to a climax. Previously, with a penis, you would have an ejaculation and revelation and hallelujah, you know, whatever. That, no, hasn't occurred yet. And the videos that I had seen, excuse me just a minute, the videos that I had seen on the internet, so far they're all like date stamped at 3 months. And what is that, 12 weeks? And so I think to look at where I'm at, let's say 7 weeks, we're almost at 7 weeks. It's a little too early for me to expect that. But it could happen any day now, and much like anything, you'll miss every target you don't aim at, so why not try to climax? Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at. I did have a bit of a funny experience because one of the viewers on the channel here made a post about, you know, get a vibrator. You know, that a finger only does so much. And I guess in my case, to excite the clitoris, as it were, and then rubbing around the other, you know, they recommended a little more help. And so that was like, got my brain thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll get a little more help. And after doing a little bit of Googling and, you know, throwing your hands up in the air and saying, I don't know what in the hell I'm doing. I mean, I've never bought a vibrator before. I did post on Facebook, and I've had a couple friends come forward, and both of them are cis, by the way. Not that that matters, but I thought it was kind of interesting. You know, 2 women came forward and like, you know, here's what I use. This is what I do. You might like this, da 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 da. You know, and it kind of like took me back, like, oh my gosh, you know. And I was thinking about it this morning as I was walking around, that as part of this journey has been, I think from day one, it's almost like there are circles within circles, concentric circles. And the difference is, I haven't thought this through, so this may not be a really good thought, but men and women, it's like getting at the core of what being a woman is. And granted, your mileage may vary and everyone may have different opinions, but it's almost like there's a circle circle in concentric circles going in, and you're getting closer and closer to the secret world of women, quote unquote, closer and closer to, I think, what womanhood is or can be, perhaps, maybe not is, but can be. And I've had, much like, entering that circle somewhat of clothes and presentation, externally, initially very externally, makeup and everything else. But you get into beyond that circle of, you get into the emotions, particularly when you start hormones and you begin to experience the rise and the fall of emotions, and your brain is changing. Again, you get a little more insight into the world of women and how women think, as you begin to think as a woman does, quote unquote, if there is such a thing. And you get invited into a circle. You get invited more into the core. And I'll give you a good example, because I don't think I'm really doing a good job of explaining it. My good friend Anna, we got invited to her daughter's birthday party. And, after, as part of the celebration and the visit, the socialization, the kids were doing their thing. The men gathered by the grill. Okay. The women gathered off to the side in the shade of the shelter. Okay. And I stood there. Oh, crud. Let me see who this is. Sorry. All right, slight bip in the thing there. I love telemarketers. They're funny. Anyway, we're back to the birthday party. And I stood there on the peripheral of, I don't know where to go at the birthday party. I wasn't in the male category anymore, and I was trying to be in the female category anymore, and wallflower that I am. And it was Anna who came over to me and kind of pulled me in and said, and I'm trying to remember exactly what she said, but it was something to the effect of, Karen, why don't you come over and talk with us? We're having girl talk, and you're a girl. And that, again, cut through me. Okay, like, you're right. And oh my gosh, and thank you for including me in your circle. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm alluding to when I say these consent. You get into, the further I think you transition, you get in and in and in to a circle. You get welcomed into a unit. Like I said, I haven't quite thought this through yet. I'm thinking off the top of my head, but that is an example of being into a circle. The same way that when you go full time, and let me give you another example from my past. Using the women's bathroom at work. I used the gender neutral bathroom for a while, and I'm not really from my life now. Now I'm pulling from Jamie's life, my friend Jamie. Not knowing if we're welcome in the women's restroom, and it took a coworker at Jamie's work to pull her aside and say, hey, when you're ready, let me know and I will go with you to the women's bathroom. Women, we go to the bathroom together, and you're welcome in there. And I want to be, I want to be a part of that. Well, we got another phone call. Boy, I'm popular. Who is it this time? All right, hang on a minute. We're going to pause. Here we go. It's amazing how an unlisted phone number gets telemarketers. Anyway, so that's another example of being pulled into this circle, being pulled into not that we would be excluded, but we just don't, I don't know. Maybe we don't feel welcome. I don't know. But anyway, so this in my example from yesterday of asking, okay, to my lady friends, if you have any information that you would care to share about, I think I said electronic help in bed or something, referencing vibrators and whatnot, dildos, etc., etc. Again, that was another pull into our circle, talk about what we do. And again, you don't have to be a woman to use a vibrator. You don't have, you know what I mean? But it just, again, it validated me. Okay. But it included me and made me feel really, really good. So, very, 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 very appreciative of that. But as I walked around this morning, I kind of had to chuckle a little bit about, here is a first for me, buying my first dildo and my first vibrator, and talking with my female friends about, the stimulation of the clitoris as opposed to other things, your cervix, your G-spot, these kinds of things that, again, being in that circle, being in that inner circle, as opposed to being external and trying to look in or not being included. Again, the men standing at the grill, for example, you wouldn't go up to a woman you had never seen before or a friend and say, what vibrator, Karen, what vibrator do you use? It made me chuckle, think about what I was doing, but also made me very appreciative of it as well. So I will share that with you. Moving on from that, I definitely, yes, I have bought, it is being shipped to me from Amazon.com. I did go ahead and buy a dildo and a vibrator with the special clitoris attachment. So we'll see how that goes. Not necessarily a magic wand, but something very similar to it. And I may get a magic wand in time. But just to share that. And obviously, even though week number 8 is a week from today, by the time it gets here, it's going to be time, and we're all different anyway, but it doesn't really matter. It's a milestone for me, and so therefore I feel like I need to put it in the blog. Okay. Really, that's just about it. Also, I guess as a blog, I need to make the milestone that like I said, I'm just a couple days shy of 7 weeks post-op. And the majority of the regenerative tissue in the vagina itself, or in the, I'm trying to think of, I don't know the medical terminology as much as I probably should, but in the initial chamber of the vagina, most of that regenerative tissue has regenerated. And so what I was calling the schmutz, the excess tissue that as the tissue, the skin healed itself, it spit off the dead skin. That was the schmutz. And so in the frontal chamber of my vagina, it's all tissue. It's all real red, pink tissue. And as it builds up a little bit of a tougher layer, a double dermis layer, it'll become fleshy pink as opposed to fleshy red. And then what I'm calling the happy hole is actually the vagina channel that would go between the outer vagina to the back into where the cervix would be, if you had a cervix. That I think still has some of that schmutz in it, that regenerative tissue. But in the last, I'd say 3 days, the amount of discharge has really cut back, really cut back, which has been great because I'm not replacing the pads as often. I still replace them frequently, but before it was, oh my gosh, I have to replace this thing, is grody to the max. This thing is loaded up with schmutz and yellow. Again, it's not like a pus discharge. It's just that tissue. It's spitting out what it doesn't need. The yellowish liquidy tissue. And it's nice to be at that stage where I'm not expelling so much of that because it stinks. It's like cottage cheese that's gone off. It's like rotten milk. and you smell it, and I'm not smelling it as much as I used to, so that's a plus. Um, and really, that's just about it as far as the blog goes. Emotionally, I will say a little bit of an up and down, up and down. This is my first full time week back at work, and it's definitely been a bit of an adjustment. Being off work for 6 weeks and only having to focus on recovering and dilating, now to have back to my regular job and having to work in my dilations between meetings and things has been a bit of a challenge. And I welcome it. I'm not afraid of it, but it's one of those things. It's like, you get your stuff done, you're up to a stopping point, and you're like, okay, well, I can take 20 minutes and go dilate, and I'll go dilate and climb in my bathtub and dilate and get out, clean up, come back. I'm ready for a good 2 hours more worth of work, and that just repeats itself through the day. So I'm very appreciative, number one, of the position that I'm in, being able to work from home, as well as coordinating a little bit with my manager. So my manager knows, hey, Karen's going to disappear for 20 minutes, but she'll be back. Very, very thankful. It would be very, very different if I worked a different job, and so I'm very appreciative of that. And that really is just about it. So I will sign off here and just acknowledge it's good to be alive, and I wish the best of luck for everyone, for you in your transition, in your journey, and definitely as you discover and I would encourage you to become the best version of yourself as you define it. And I'm smiling like a smart ass because I believe in that. I really, really do. It's part of this journey is to figure out who we are and our own sense of style and how we want to present ourselves and how we interface with other people. It's such a wonderful freedom that non-trans people don't have to deal with, because they're happy with the way they are out of the gate, So I wish you the best of luck, my friends, and until next time, good luck. All right, hang in there, and I'll do the same. All right, take care.